And that's all people want to learn now. They just want to learn how to audition and get the job.
Yeah.
No one wants to study the craft anymore. I mean, I think when Win Handman passes away, I don't, and I'm pretty much in the know. I don't know anybody in the city that teaches like him anymore. I mean,
there's no one that's going to replace him as just an independent acting teacher.
I don't think so, and because there's so many issues, there's so many things that are holding people back, even if you wanted to do it. The most obvious one is rent, right?
Rent. Well, it's so funny. I was just talking to several people about this. You almost need a support system to be a professional actor, at least in the beginning, before you kind of get the wheels going.
I mean, as a teacher or as an actor?
As an actor, if you move to New York City, to be an actor like we did, it helps to have support. It helps to have people who, particularly when you have to beg off work to go audition, go to a callback, and that means you can't, go to your gig or whatever you were going to do to make money that day.
Your day.
Rent. I mean, it's all those things that come together, but it's not just rent now. I mean, for every bucket of money you put into New York City, I feel like you probably take a bucket out, right?
I mean, I think a really important thing, something that I always had is, I think every actor, you have to have a goal, because it really keeps you laser focused, because it gets really easy to get lost in the minutia of what the city is, like, I'm not booking work. I'm unemployed. I haven't had an audition. I mean, this whole acting beast of a monologue.
And then you start that imposter syndrome, right? God, I'm not good enough. And I don't look at the way I look, and look at that guy. He looks 10 times more handsome than me, and we're up for the same part and all that bullshit.
And if you can get lost in that stuff, man, and it can get really depressing, and it starts all these voices. But I mean, I think, and I've always done this. My mom taught me this, I have always saved money. And so years ago, she would always say, you have to save at least 5% of everything that you get. So I always did that. So whatever paycheck I had, I would always take 5% and I'd put it away. And I did that with my kids, and I did that on every acting gig that I get, every residual check that comes in, I take 10% and I put it away into the market. It's not about really becoming rich. I think the pressure as an actor feels when you have nothing to show for what you're doing. Right. So if
other than the experience, which is
great, it's phenomenal. But I think especially if you're young, if you take, let's say you're just doing extra work, if you take just 10% of that or 5% of that and just put it away, and you don't touch it for the year, right? Then you have a little nest egg, right? And then you repeat that process. So then it looks like you're not fighting at zero. It looks like you're making something, right? It looks like you've got a little bit. Let's say you save, I don't know, $1,500 at the end of the year, right? You don't touch it. That's the thing, is you can't touch it. You can't touch it. Even when you want to, or whatever, you say, that money's for the end of the year. Then that allows you, it takes pressure off of you. You feel like you're succeeding. You feel like you're not failing, because you feel like, you're making money and you're putting money away and you're building a life, so to say. And it's hard, because a lot of actors don't do that. And I think I got that from, I was a double major when I was in college. So I always had a business sense, because I always thought, because I didn't do acting like you did. I didn't go to performing school, right? So I sucked in college. So I thought, I'm getting a free scholarship. I'm just going to ride the thing for as long as I can, because I know it's going to end for me pretty soon. Someone is pretty soon going to unveil the Wizard and Wizard of Oz and say, aha! Ah, I knew it. I knew you weren't an actor.
You're a fraud, sir. Yeah.
Close the curtain. Close the curtain.
Yeah, move along. Yeah,
exactly. So I think that's an important thing, and I think
that served you very well. And I think you're right. I think most artists in general don't have a lot of, or very much business training, even something simple like that, like take 5 to 10% of everything you earn and invest it. I think that's a simple thing if you've been in, investment management of any sort, but as an actor, no one ever tells you that. You don't go through any kind of business training.
Yeah. They don't have any business courses.
Yeah, it's only when you get out and you have to go to the Lions that you're like, oh wait, I don't have any of these skills, Right. So who does? Who can I learn them from? Or how can I develop them on my own? Which
I've talked to a lot of actors about that. I said, no, look, I'm the last person I should teach a finance class. I'm just saying, you know.
Well, I mean, you business for actors class. I've taken those. I mean, you would be perfect teaching those, Doug. I remember taking one, and she was just I mean, I can literally say about 3 things that she said that I've heard you say over the years that you're probably really good at, and she was too. One of them was this individual letter writing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to write a personal letter to you.
Right.
And you know, here's what I'm after. Be very specific about it. And she would do, you know, if she was in a show, which that was, you know, her calling card. She was a you know, Broadway regional actress. And so she would be in a show, and she would look around and go, oh, you know what I should do next is this show being done here by these people. And I'd be great for this part. And she'd be very specific about it and write the director or casting, whoever was casting, a letter and say, listen, I'm in this show now, you know, Bing, I have credentials. I would be perfect for that role in that show that you're doing. And just would reach out to people like that. And immediately when she said that, I was like, oh, man, I think I've heard that before from a friend of mine who's really good at that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was in Houston. You know, even before I came to New York, I'd get on the Austin casting database and write letters, and I would get crappy roles in crappy films, but it was my start. But what I learned right off the bat is I thought, and again, you know, my mom is the one who kind of, I wouldn't say, you know, it's funny. Your parents teach you a couple things that there's always maybe 2 or 3 lessons that your parents have taught you. Most of the stuff is crap you learn on your own, you know, but there's always 2 or 3 good lessons that you remember from your parents.
Absolutely.
And one was my mom. My dad, a couple, but my mom, she'd always say, you have to wake up early in the morning to learn to study school, right? So she was the first one who exposed me to waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to study. And that's been a hallmark of my life, always waking up early in the morning. And then the second one, she said, you know, write people letters, because if you write people letters, it feels more personable. And instead of calling them, and this is before we had email was really taken off. So I would write these crappy typewritten letters out, you know, with a typewriter, dude. I mean, that's
old school.
Yeah, 1995, 1996.
Oh, I made a mistake. White out, the old white out. You gotta put the,
but nice. You know, letters make you, and to this day, I think what's even more interesting is that to this day, and I tell this to young actors, I coach the local high school here at Hoboken, and every once in a while, university, when I perform the play, if there's a university, they'll ask me to give an acting workshop or a business workshop, so to say. Right. And I tell them, writing letters to this day is even more relevant because no one does it. Right. You separate yourself from the pack if you write a handwritten letter, right? Because everyone's sending emails out, you know, or a text message, you know, and it's the old thing, you know, people won't remember what you say. They won't remember what you do, but they'll remember how you make them feel. Right. And letters have this power of when you open a letter and you open it up. In fact, this is one that's going out right now to a producer who helped me produce The American Soldier. But when you open a letter and you say, hey, you know, thanks for it separates you from everybody who's sending you emails.
Yeah, I would think particularly even, like you said, even more so in today's age, you know, where people are much more impersonal than they were when we started out. And those are all the skills, you know,
the basic skills.
It's a communications relationship business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, kind of going back to what we were talking about. Yeah. I don't think many people care to study acting anymore. I mean, I don't know where the business is. I know young people are still going to college to study acting, you know, but you know, Wynn's class was really special, you know. It was like when I first started studying with him, it was in Carnegie Hall, and you worked on classic plays, you know, Steinbeck, Tennessee Williams, you know, Arthur Miller, you know, just the classics, you know, everybody you can think of, you know, Shaw, you know, and if you weren't working on it, you were watching other people working on the material, you know, Pinter, you know, I mean, these Lansford Wilson, all these. I mean, you can probably grab actors right now, and they probably won't even know who the heck Lansford Wilson is.
Sad, but you're right. You're right.
You know,
they're going to know. Well, I mean, a lot, you know, like if you move to the city and you're basically trained, and you're trying to get your career started, Yeah, you're going to Actors Connection and all these places to, try to network with these agents and get in front of them for the first time and put your best foot forward. And yeah, I don't think people are thinking about the craft as much anymore.
No.
Like what matters is that I'm a successful actor, not that I'm, practicing, honing my craft on a daily basis sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a generalization. I don't know,
Yeah,
but I think you
could be.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's I mean, when I first started acting in Manhattan, you literally had a plethora of choices. I love that word, plethora.
Plethora.
You know where plethora comes from?
Yes, from the Greek pleth, meaning
No.
many. I don't have no idea. I don't know, where does it come from?
The Three Amigos. When you say you have a plethora, do you know what a plethora means?
Oh, from Three Amigos?
Three Amigos. Why?
Three Amigos. That's right.
Why, Hefik? Why, El Guapo? Well, if you say you have a plethora of petunias, I want to know if you know what a plethora of petunias is. El Guapo. Forgive me my intellect, but I am not as intelligent as you.
Wow. It's been a while since I visited that scene. That's great, man. You got that.
Could it be that you're a little upset? You're turning 40.
No. Little upset, my friend. Oh, a plethora. I remember that now. Hey, a plethora.
The Americans are coming. It's such a fucking, my favorite scene in fucking, I love that scene. But yeah, then you had a wide range of choices to study with, and real old school trained teacher director / directors, from, you had Wynn Hadman, William Esper, you have the Terry Schreiber school. I mean, that school's still going on, but Terry Schreiber was teaching it, you just had so many,
Right, so if you didn't vibe with one particular person, yeah, hey, there's somebody else that you can connect with a little bit more that maybe for whatever reason.
That's how I found Tim Phillips. I was in Wynn Hadman's class for a while, and I wanted something new for a while, and then someone said, hey, you should try this guy named Tim Phillips. He taught out of his apartment, and he's a Meisner guy, and he knows Wynn, and I used to go to his apartment, and he had a full class, dude.
Right on Broadway, dude. I remember when I first got into town, you were taking his class, and I went a few times.
Yeah.
And that's how we, ended up
getting
together.
It was the worst class to take at night, too, though. Because you'd be sitting in a couch, right?
Oh, those couches would put you to sleep, man. You just, okay, I got to go. Act. All right.
Yeah. You just, it was the worst. It's the worst when you're trying to stay awake and like this wave of just sleeping pills coming over you.
It's almost better just to let yourself fall asleep for like 2 minutes, just to get that burst. You're like, okay, I'm all right.
But it's so heavy. I mean, he was going to call you out every time. He wasn't going to let you just like sleep in his class.
Sleep in his class, no. You had to like do your hat, like pull the hat down. Gotta.
Can I get you a pillow? Can I get you a pillow, Austin? I mean, Foster. Yeah. Can I get you a pillow?
I'd love one. Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. And I'd like to crawl around on the ground like a dog too. That'd be.
Did we wake you, Foster? Yeah,
no. I was here. the whole time. I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think we were just talking about this, and most I think actors come to the city trained, like they're decent actors, but they don't have a lot of the business training, and that takes years to develop. I think a business class for actors somewhere.
We'll close it up here in a minute, but we'll close it on you. But what have you found? You've been in the city pretty much on and off now, I would say 15 years, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. What's been the biggest positive takeaway that you've taken away from being a working actor in New York?
I will just say that, you get out of it what you put into it, and that when you come ready and you come prepared, and there's nothing else that you want to do, and you have the support that you need, you get the most out of it. And it's something you said. I mean, it's really, a lot of people talk about this, but it's all up here. So whatever's going on up here is pretty much what dictates it. So you come, you're fresh, you're eager, you're hungry, you're ready, like, give it to me, you know, boom, 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 you're doing it. That's about 7 years, you know, you like, you know, you start to think differently about it. And so, you know, my biggest takeaway is honestly just, it is what you think about it. And that's it. You know, do you want it?
What do you mean?
If you want it.
What do you mean? Can you unpack that? What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's like, when you're sitting there before you go into audition, you know, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, oh, you know, how you're not good enough, all this imposter syndrome stuff? I'm not saying, it's just between your ears. What you think about the business is what you're going to get out of it. You know, if you think, oh, you know, I never get this. And I don't know, just all those like mental bullshit things that happen in your head. If you can clear out that noise, to me, that's, I don't know, 80%. You know, I mean, the rest of it is not up to you anyway.
Well, I mean, to me, Tim's phrase is the best. You know, you don't audition for the role because you're not going to get it. You audition for your job. And it's very true, because I say it all the time is, you know, what you're trying to do is go into the casting office, have a good audition, and get on a list to come back again. And get on as many lists as you possibly can to keep coming back, because eventually you will book. But that audition that you want to book, you're not going to book.
Right. Right. And just, you know, and so that takes a lot of discipline, you know, that takes a lot of consistency just in terms of the way you think about it, you know, so that every day you're waking up optimistic, hopeful, you know what I mean? Ready, hungry. That's just hard to sustain.
Would you say that you learned that later, like staying hungry, staying more focused later as you've been in the city? Or?
Well, I would say that I've learned now, yeah, like, okay, you're getting into a place mentally where you're only going to cause harm to yourself, you know, basically. Like, you're only derailing yourself with this thinking, you know.
But I never went to like a high performing art school or anything, right? I just
yeah, I mean, I think there's some advantage to having more of a disciplined business background, honestly, as you go forward and you keep going. Well, you better make yourself comfortable with failure.
Right.
I mean,
and I think that's
better. Yeah, you better make yourself comfortable with it, or yeah, I mean, or that's just going to destroy you over time. You're just not going to be able to.
That must have been tough for you, because you come from a high performance art school, you know. So you're like,
well, you know, I went to, you know, my experience is interesting, because I mean, after about 3 or 4 years of training, you're pretty much as an actor. You're either trained or you're not. You either can do it or you can't after that period of time. And I wanted a big college. I mean, I wanted a big college experience after that kind of intense high school conservatory experience almost. So I went to the University of Texas in Austin.
Which has a really good department.
And this is the other part of acting training too. It's like you have to have life experience as well. You know, it's not just enough to be a good actor. It's you know, part of that is like, okay, life experience makes you a better actor, grows you as an artist. And so, you know, I spent 4 years in college just kind of, I don't know, living life. You know, it was very less about acting training. I was about the same actor. Like when I left University of Texas is when I came in. I didn't.
But but when you go to a high performance art school, you're kind of already.
Yeah, I was ready. No, I was ready to go.
But no fault of your own.
Like, you are ready at 18, you know, to go to. You should go to LA. Like if you're ready at 18, you got the mental.
You feel already. I mean, you already feel.
You want to be in film, you should go at 18.
You feel already like, I'm already good. I'm in a high performance art school, and then I go to UT. So it's got to be tough, because there's expectations that you put on yourself when you're coming out from those two stages, right? And
100%. 100%. But I mean, you know, I was never that good at auditioning. I was even in college, I would have really just like blow the doors out, amazing auditions. And then the next one, I'd be in my head. I'd be anxious, and it would just be a crap fest. And so I've never been that good at auditioning. So even when I graduated, and first thing I did is I moved to Chicago because I had some friends there, and I thought, oh, that'd be a good place to get started in the business. I would have wildly varying auditions. I'd have auditions that were just incredible, and then the next day, I mean, I couldn't speak a word. Like I had never done it in my life. And just that process of being a consistent auditioner was not something that you learn from you know, playing Hamlet. You don't, you know, that's, you get good at playing Hamlet. You get good at doing Shakespeare. You get good at acting in general. You don't necessarily get good at that auditioning technique, which is very specific.
It's really it's a magic trick. And you have
it really is
the magic trick, but you have to kind of do it. And there's little tricks of the trade you do, and has nothing to do with your acting training. It has nothing to do. And once you get the role, and then your acting training will kick in. But I've always thought that, I've learned this late in my life, that acting training really is designed for you to have enough tools to build the character that you need to build for the particular role, right? Like,
right.
Now I realize, okay, if I get this character, if I get this character, if I get this character, I can pull from little bits from different people to create what I'm trying to do and tell the story, right?
Right. You've trained, you know how to do it. You know how to do the performance part of it.
Right. But in college,
yeah.
In college, they kind of make it seem like, okay, this is the system you're going to apply for every single role you do for the rest of your life. And it's not like that, really. No. It really is like Bruce Lee. You're going to use a tiny bit of it, because only whatever training you got, there's only some of it that really resonates with you. The other part of it, you're like, you don't resonate with it, right? And that's true with anything you learn from any teacher, that you're only going to use a little bit and then apply to yourself. All right, we should close this down.
All right, buddy.
This is our first podcast. We're going to close this down, and this is one of 350.
Sounds good.
All right, so let me see how we turn this thing off.
All right. Meeting. All right, I'm leaving this meeting.